What is up, familia? Welcome back to the channel. If you are new around these parts, hello. Thank you so freaking much for clicking. I'm Anna, and on this channel we budget, plan, and love us some sticky paper, friends. In today's video, I am following up with episode 2 of my Budgeting 101 series, friends. Today we are going to talk all things paycheck budgeting. So how to budget out your paycheck. The truth of the matter is, I think that you can base most of your budget setups off of your monthly budget, which is why I started the series with the monthly budget. If you guys missed out on my video on how to create a monthly budget for beginners, so if you're brand new, this is the video for you. I go super in depth into every detail of how and why I set up my budget, and I'm hoping that that is helpful to you guys, and I think it's a great starting point to hopefully then build on each of these videos and episodes that I will be sharing with you guys as a part of this Budgeting 101 series. So with all of that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so once again, here we are back at our monthly overview, you guys. This is another one of the reasons why I really like to come in and lay out my bills for the month, because I want to make sure that I know when I need to be paying things, right? All of these bills have due dates, sadly. So I find this to be really helpful when it comes to budgeting out your paycheck. So I'm going to budget out my first paycheck of January with you guys, and my paycheck lands, technically what I consider to be my first paycheck of January actually lands on December 30th. So technically it is December's paycheck, but because I know that the funds from that paycheck really won't cover anything for December for me, unless I happen to have a bill due on the 30th or 31st. But for me, really that paycheck is to cover the first couple of weeks of the following month. So I consider that my paycheck 1 for January, because it's going to cover January bills. So this can vary a bit depending on how you get paid and what your pay structure is like, but this is what works for my particular pay structure. So if you guys, didn't see my monthly budget, creating a monthly budget video, I get paid on the 15th and the 30th of every month, unless they fall on weekends, which of course in January they do. So it's going to be the 14th and the 28th for me. So for the 30th, my December 30th paycheck, although it's not technically in January, the funds are going to be used to cover January expenses. So I consider it my January paycheck 1. Hopefully that makes sense. Do what makes sense for you. If you're more on a bi-weekly schedule, this may not be, applicable to you depending on when those paydays hit for you. So this is the reason why having this visual really helps when it comes to getting down to the nitty-gritty of paycheck budgeting. So for me, like I said, I'm paid the 30th. It's going to cover the first couple of weeks until I get paid again. So basically from December 30th to January 13th, I need to make sure all of the bills in between are covered by this paycheck. So what does that mean? I can see here very clearly, this is one of the reasons why I like to lay this out. I can see here very clearly what I need to make sure is paid between the 30th and the 13th. That's my range that I'm looking at. So I need to make sure my condo fee is paid, my mortgage is paid, my subscription, my natural gas bill, and then my Apple bill. Those are the bills that fall within those 2 weeks basically for this pay period. So I'm going to go ahead and turn over to the monthly budget really quick. So before I get into setting up my actual paycheck budget, I want to come back and revisit the monthly budget. This is the reason why I started with the monthly budget, because I think it is the blueprint for your month, and it's going to make your paycheck budgeting easier. So as I showed you on the monthly view, it's very evident and clear with that monthly layout that I did what needs to be covered for the next 2 weeks before I get paid the next time. So I can go in here now into my monthly budget and say, okay, based off my monthly view that I just saw, I know my mortgage, my condo HOA, my natural gas, my Apple, and SPC subscription need to be paid for this paycheck. Need to be paid for with this paycheck, I should say. Now, for me, I have these, my budget split into bills and expenses and cash envelopes because I use the cash envelope system. Maybe you just have a list of bills and expenses. That's fine. You can go through and see what you need to allocate. if you've allocated monthly amounts to areas like groceries or food or gas or spending, and you're like, all right, how do I handle these? Well, the easiest answer is to go ahead and handle them based on the amount of times you're paid. So if you're paid twice in a month like me, and let's say your grocery budget for the month is $450, then you can just divide 450 by 2. And you know that each time you get paid, you're going to use $225 of your paycheck towards your grocery budget, right? You'll have that amount allocated just for groceries. Now, my budget is a little bit abnormal, and I will tell you why. This is easier if your paychecks are the same. So whether you're paid twice a month, 3 times a month, 4 times a month, you're always paid the same amount. That is not the case for me. I am actually paid, my paycheck 1 is a different amount than my paycheck 2. And this is just covering like my full-time job. This is not any side hustles or anything in addition to that. This is just with my full-time job. So because of that, the way I budget is affected. So whereas most people might take this number and divide it in half if they're paid twice a month, I have to consider, well, what can I actually cover with each paycheck? With the amount that I get from each paycheck, what can I actually cover? So what you'll notice is that my paycheck 2 contributions and allocations, especially when it comes to my cash envelopes, are much higher than what they are during paycheck 1 because I'm paid less for paycheck 1. There's a million and one reasons why that's the case. I won't get into them here, but perhaps you have something similar where your paychecks are not equally the same each time you get paid. So that's something you need to consider when you're doing your paycheck budget. Okay, so I'm going to show you an example because I'm going to do my paycheck 1 budget with you guys right now. Here we are at the paycheck 1 budget. If you guys are wondering, I do use stickers with my planner. You do not need to use stickers with your planner or your notebook. You just need somewhere to keep and organize your budget and a pen or pencil. That is it. You could also use like Excel spreadsheet. You can do all sorts of things, but I think if you're starting out, pen and paper is the way to go, just until you get comfortable with the process. Once you get comfortable with the process, you can try different budgeting tools and see what works best for you. Maybe it's an Excel spreadsheet, maybe it's a budgeting app, which I plan to do a video about budgeting apps that I think are great too. That's coming, so keep an eye out for that one. I got a lot of things I want to do, y'all, but anyways, so let me show you how I break down paycheck 1, where I have, like I said, differing amounts between my 2 paychecks from my full-time job. So for bills and expenses, you guys already saw what they are, right? So I have my mortgage. Now I also have my condo fee, which is due within this pay period. But what I typically do is actually take my condo fee money from paycheck 2. So that category is actually already accounted for in my paycheck 2 budget from December. So if you guys want, you can take a look at me setting up my second paycheck budget of December, and you will see condo fee is actually listed in there, and that is the condo fee for the following month. So that's what I mean, where if you know that your paychecks are different amounts, you really need to sit down and see, here's the amount I'm working with, here's what I need to make sure is allocated, and here's what I can fit into this pay period. And then, okay, maybe there's another pay period while I have more wiggle room. I'm going to allocate funds for X bill, even though it's not typically due in that pay period. So for bills and expenses, mortgage, my condo fee was allocated for in paycheck 2 of December, so I'm all set with that. I don't have to take out for that. Then we have Apple. We have SPC subscription. And we have my natural gas bill. Now, because paycheck 1, again, is less of an amount, I'm actually going to budget less out for my cash envelopes. I only fill 2 of my cash envelopes during this time frame. So I'm going to go ahead and allocate funds for groceries and funds for spending. And I'm actually also going to include a line for sinking funds. Now, sinking funds will have their own video where I can go very in depth about them. But what I'm going to tell you about sinking funds for now is that basically they're particular savings for an expected cost. So not for unexpected costs. That's something different. I'm talking about expected costs that are not as consistent as a monthly bill might be. So not as consistent as your cell phone bill, for example, that happens every month. This is going to happen, but it doesn't happen every month. So a good example for me is my car insurance. My car insurance premium is due every 6 months. I know it's coming every 6 months, but I don't necessarily have to worry about paying it every month. But what I do is go ahead and put a little bit of money aside each month so when it comes due, it's not an immediate hit to my kind of typical paycheck budgeting monthly budgets. I've already been saving for it. The money is ready to go, and I don't have to worry about it affecting my numbers for that particular month it is due. So I'm gonna have a section for sinking funds as well. And now let's talk amounts. So you guys already know $13.68 for mortgage, $12.98 for Apple, $34 for my subscription, and then my natural gas, which I'm gonna budget $100 for. And then of course, once we actually have it, we can put in our actuals and calculate all that. So I'll total these up in a sec. I'm just gonna go ahead and do my budget for cash envelopes. So for groceries, I'm actually gonna budget $150. And same for spending, $150. And then for sinking funds, I'm gonna budget $350. And I put sinking funds in cash envelopes because I actually do stuff those in cash. So there is my sinking funds. Now I actually forgot to put in my sinking funds in my monthly budget. So I'll have to go back and put it in and update these totals to reflect that. But I will do that off camera because your girl's human at the end of the day. But essentially you can put those in. Again, sinking funds might not be something that's in your budget yet, and that is okay. Sinking funds are not a priority. Not a priority right now if you're just starting. If you're just starting, just get the gist of bills and expenses. We can gradually get into some of the other aspects of budgeting if you want to, but just start with mastering the basics and then we'll move on. Baby steps, y'all. Baby steps up in here, baby steps. Okay, let's total up both of these amounts. So my total for bills and expenses is $1,514.98. And then my cash envelope total is $650. Now, you are probably thinking, or you may be thinking, I'm gonna just flip back over to the monthly, which is right behind. Bear with me, y'all, bear with me. I'm doing a lot of flipping. But you might be thinking, okay, so here's a great example. You are expecting to get $1,500 from Paycheck One, and you are definitely, just in bills and expenses alone, you definitely have above $1,500 already spent, not to mention all your other cash envelope categories. So how are you going to cover this? Well, you guys, this is where rollover comes in because, like I said, Paycheck 2 is higher for me. So I won't spend all of the money typically. You know, we trying. I won't spend all of the money I get from Paycheck 2 because I know that part of that is needed for me to be able to pay everything from Paycheck One, everything that would normally be due with Paycheck One, because I know that amount is less than what I get for Paycheck 2. And I'll have a section just like the last one. I'll have my paycheck income, and then I'll also have a section for rollover. My rollover money typically lies within my cash envelopes, where I have money that I have left over that I am rolling over to the next month. All right, so let's recap, you guys. So 2 things to take away from this video. 1, your monthly budget is the blueprint. Use it. Use it to help you manage your paycheck budgeting. It's really going to make it that much more easier if you've already laid out a blueprint for the month. And it's going to help keep you organized and make sure that you pay all of your bills in a timely manner. The next point is make sure you account for rollover. So whether you're rolling over from a previous month or a previous paycheck, make sure that you account for it within your income part of your budget. And then a pro tip, you guys, if you can, if your pay structure allows, try to break down some of the larger bills that you have. So this could be like your rent or your mortgage or maybe a large car payment or a large debt payment. If you can break that payment down and maybe you put aside half your first paycheck and then put aside the other half the second paycheck to make your payment, that'll help it feel like less of a hit to you than it would be to take all of that money out at once. And likewise, kind of make sure that you're spreading out some of those heavier bills throughout your paycheck. So again, one paycheck is not feeling too heavily weighed down by those. Hopefully you guys found this video helpful. If you did, make sure that you share it with a friend who is starting their budgeting journey, who you think would find it useful. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, as it really does help support the channel. And I will catch y'all in my next one. Bye.